Have you ever experienced a moment with a man where he moves closer, touches you gently, and suddenly you realize he is not only kissing your lips or holding you near, but he is moving lower, becoming more intimate until he places his mouth on you? And in that second, you pause for a moment, not because you dislike it, but because a thought quietly enters your mind. What does this truly mean to him? Many people assume intimacy is only physical, that it is only about pleasure, desire, or satisfying urges. But when a man puts your most private area in his mouth, it becomes something deeper than simple touch. It becomes communication. It is one of the strongest, most open, and most revealing things he can choose to do. The truth is, men do not do this for every woman they meet. They do not offer that level of closeness unless something about you has opened a hidden part of them emotionally. Now, some people may say that it is simply another part of intimacy and that it carries no emotional meaning at all. But if you pay close attention, you will notice that it often does mean something. It reveals how he sees you, how comfortable he feels around you, and how much he genuinely cares about your experience. Sometimes it becomes a message he cannot easily explain with words, so instead, he expresses it through his actions and his body language. And this is where things become more interesting. When a man chooses to do this, he removes himself from the center of attention. For that moment, it is no longer about his pleasure, his ego, or proving himself. It becomes about you. It becomes about exploring you, appreciating you, and giving attention to your feelings and enjoyment. That carries emotional weight. That has meaning far beyond physical attraction alone. If you truly want to understand men, if you really want to understand what this action can quietly communicate about his emotions, then you have to look deeper than the surface itself. So in this video, I'm going to explain what it can truly mean when a man puts his mouth on your most intimate area. Not in a disrespectful way and not in a shallow way, but in a thoughtful way that reveals the deeper truths he may unconsciously be showing when he does it. Once you fully understand these hidden emotional signals, you may never look at the experience in the exact same way again. When a man does this, many people fail to realize that it is not only about desire or physical skill. Very often it is also about surrender, and surrender is one of the most powerful emotional experiences that can exist between two people during intimacy and connection. Men are usually not raised to surrender emotionally. From a young age, they are often taught to stay strong, stay in control, lead situations, dominate challenges, and avoid appearing weak. Especially during intimate moments, there is usually pressure placed on men to perform perfectly, to appear confident, and to take charge of everything happening around them. Because of this, many men stay trapped inside their own thoughts, worrying about whether they are doing enough, lasting long enough, or being good enough for the person beside them. But when he goes down on you, something shifts inside that dynamic. In many cases, he steps away from the need to constantly perform. He releases the spotlight from himself and gives his complete focus and energy to your experience instead. That is surrender. And surrender is not weakness at all. In many ways, it is actually a sign of confidence and emotional strength. It takes confidence for someone to say, "For this moment, I want to focus completely on you instead of myself." When a man does this with genuine care, when he is not rushing through it or doing it only because he feels expected to, but instead becomes fully present in your pleasure, he reveals something important about his emotional state. He is showing that he is willing to place your needs above his own in that moment. He is willing to quiet his ego and give attention to you without immediately expecting something in return. That type of giving energy, that type of emotional surrender, is one of the purest forms of intimacy two people can share. Of course, not every man approaches it from this emotional place. Some men do it because they think they are supposed to. Others do it without emotional connection, simply going through motions without deeper intention behind it. But usually you can feel the difference very clearly. You can sense when someone is acting from pressure and when someone is acting from real desire and emotional devotion. True surrender can often be felt in the way he stays present with you, in the way he takes his time, and in the way he seems completely focused on your experience instead of worrying about himself. And this matters deeply because intimacy is never only about physical actions alone. It is also about the emotional energy being exchanged between two people. When a man is willing to surrender in this way, it changes the entire emotional balance of intimacy. It stops becoming only about performance, control, or proving masculinity. Instead, it becomes mutual. It becomes emotionally equal. And equality is where genuine emotional connection often begins to grow in powerful ways. For many women, this becomes the moment where they realize that a man does not only desire their body physically, he also desires their pleasure, their emotional openness, and their trust. That realization can feel deeply attractive because a man who is comfortable surrendering emotionally is usually a man who no longer feels the need to constantly prove himself. He understands who he is already. He feels secure enough within himself to say, right now, this moment is about giving attention to you. So the next time it happens, pay attention to the details. Notice the way he touches you. Notice whether he rushes or lingers slowly. Notice whether he becomes fully lost in the experience or remains emotionally distant. Those small details reveal whether it is simply physical activity or something emotionally deeper. Because true surrender is one of the most intimate gifts a person can offer another human being. The hidden truth is that when he surrenders to you in this way, he may also be silently saying, I trust you enough to let go around you. I desire you enough to focus completely on your experience. I feel emotionally safe enough to give you my full attention. That is what makes this act become more than something physical alone. It becomes a language of emotion that speaks without words. When a man goes down on you, one of the strongest things he may unknowingly reveal is trust. And understanding this is extremely important because intimacy is never only about what bodies are doing together. It is also about emotional safety. Many people think of oral intimacy only as a woman trusting a man enough to let him close to her most vulnerable area. But in reality, trust exists on both sides of the experience. For a man to place himself there, he must trust you too. He enters a space that is emotional, raw, personal, and vulnerable. In doing so, he also exposes a softer side of himself emotionally. Men are not always taught to feel comfortable with emotional vulnerability. Many are raised believing they must always appear powerful, calm, and emotionally guarded. But in that intimate position, there is very little hiding left. He is close to you physically and emotionally, and he is choosing to remain there willingly. That is not only physical confidence, it is emotional courage as well. He trusts that you will not judge him for wanting to please you. He trusts that you will not see him as weak for focusing completely on your pleasure. And he trusts that you will receive his attention with warmth instead of criticism or rejection. That kind of trust transforms intimacy completely. Without trust, physical connection often feels empty or mechanical, like two people simply going through motions together. But when trust exists, the exact same experience can suddenly carry emotional depth and meaning. It becomes a quiet way of saying, I feel emotionally safe with you. I want to connect with you fully. I want to experience closeness with you that I do not share with everyone. Many women do not always notice another important detail in these moments. When he does this, he is also trusting you to let go emotionally. He is trusting you to relax, receive, and allow yourself to become vulnerable too. Receiving attention in such an exposed way also requires courage. Allowing someone to focus completely on you and experience you without emotional walls takes trust from both people involved. The fact that he chooses to place himself there often means he believes you are someone worth opening up to emotionally. Not every man will consciously recognize all of these emotions happening inside him during intimacy, but his behavior often reveals the truth quietly. You may notice it in the way he listens to your reactions, the way he pays attention to your comfort, or the way he slows down to make sure you feel safe and appreciated. Those details reveal that he is emotionally invested in the experience instead of treating it casually. He is placing emotional trust not only in the moment itself, but also in the connection the two of you are building together. And once trust is created physically and emotionally, it often spreads into the rest of the relationship as well, creating deeper communication and emotional openness outside the bedroom too. A man who feels emotionally safe enough to trust you with this level of intimacy is often more capable of trusting you emotionally in daily life too. It can remove emotional walls, create honest conversations, and build a stronger emotional foundation between two people. That is why moments like these can become far more meaningful than many people realize at first. So the next time you experience something like this, remember that it is not only about physical pleasure. It may also be about a man showing that he feels safe enough to release control, safe enough to become emotionally vulnerable, and safe enough to give you access to a softer emotional side of himself that he does not reveal to everyone. That is what trust often looks like in intimacy, not only spoken through words but revealed through actions, presence, and emotional openness shared between two people. Because when a man puts his mouth on you, what he may truly be saying underneath the surface is, I trust you with my vulnerability. I trust you with this connection. I trust you with a part of myself that requires emotional courage to share. And in many situations, that is what makes the experience feel so emotionally powerful and unforgettable. When a man puts his mouth on you, it is not always only an act connected to pleasure. Sometimes it becomes his own silent form of admiration, appreciation, and emotional devotion expressed without words. And I do not use that word casually. Worship is not about lowering yourself beneath someone. It is about admiration, appreciation, and treating another person like they are truly meaningful to you. For many women, intimacy is often connected to years of mixed emotions and confusing messages. Society tells women to feel confident in themselves, but at the same time tells them not to reveal too much. Women are encouraged to feel attractive, yet criticized when they become too open about their sensuality. Because of that, many women grow up with complicated feelings about their own bodies and their own desirability. But in a moment where a man chooses to go down on you with real passion and genuine presence, he is silently cutting through all those fears and insecurities with his actions and attention. In that moment, he is saying something deeper than words usually can. He is saying, I do not only accept your body, I admire it. I want to experience it fully. I want to appreciate every part of you. That is what makes it feel like worship rather than something casual or careless. It becomes intentional. Because to him, it is not simply an obligation or a task he feels forced to perform. It becomes something he genuinely wants to do. He is not there because he feels pressure. He is there because he feels drawn toward you emotionally and physically. And that matters more than many people realize. When a man treats your body with that kind of care and attention, he is not only trying to create physical pleasure, he is also trying to show you how beautiful, valuable, and desirable you appear in his eyes. In many cases, he is silently communicating that he finds you captivating in a way he cannot fully explain. And the truth is, when women experience this type of admiration during intimacy, it often awakens something powerful inside them emotionally. It is not only physical excitement. It becomes a feeling of being noticed deeply, appreciated completely, and valued in a sincere way. That emotional feeling can be incredibly powerful because so many people move through life without ever truly feeling cherished by another person. Let us be honest for a moment. There are men who approach oral intimacy like it is simply another step during sex, something to rush through quickly or do without emotional involvement. But when a man genuinely admires and appreciates you in this way, the difference becomes obvious almost immediately through his energy and behavior. You notice it in the way he slows down instead of rushing. You notice it in the way his touch feels thoughtful and intentional rather than distracted or impatient. You notice it in the way he becomes fully focused on you without allowing outside thoughts to interrupt the moment. He becomes completely immersed in your experience and your reactions. And there is another part of this that many people overlook entirely. This type of admiration is not only emotionally meaningful for you, it also affects him deeply. When he sees your body responding to him, when he watches you relax into the moment, and when he feels your trust and openness toward him, it gives him a deep emotional satisfaction too. It makes him feel connected, desired, confident, and emotionally alive in a loving and meaningful way. For many men, your pleasure becomes proof that the emotional connection between you is real and mutual. That is why admiration during intimacy is never only about physical technique. It is about emotional mindset. It is about viewing your partner as someone precious instead of viewing them as an object for selfish pleasure. When a man approaches intimacy with that kind of emotional energy, he is silently saying, "You are not simply someone I desire physically, you are someone I deeply appreciate and treasure." And this matters because genuine admiration creates stronger emotional intimacy between two people. It creates a connection where you feel not only wanted but celebrated. And when a woman feels celebrated emotionally, something changes inside her. She becomes more open, more confident, and more emotionally free within the relationship itself. She begins to feel safe enough to be vulnerable without fear of criticism or rejection. She becomes more comfortable enjoying intimacy without shame or emotional hesitation. So when you notice a man going down on you with that level of care, patience, and emotional appreciation, do not immediately dismiss it as simply another sexual act. Recognize the emotional meaning behind it. Recognize that in many ways it becomes an act of admiration and emotional devotion. It becomes a moment where he is silently telling you, "You are extraordinary to me. You are beautiful to me. And I want to honor you through the way I touch and appreciate you." That goes beyond simple physical attraction. That becomes intimacy expressed at a much deeper emotional level between two people who are fully present with one another, communicating something words cannot fully express. He may be saying, "You matter to me. I want this moment to feel meaningful for both of us." That does not always mean promises about the future, but it often reflects emotional commitment within the present moment itself. By being fully open, attentive, and vulnerable with you, he is showing that he is not afraid of emotional depth or true intimacy. And that is why moments like these can feel so powerful emotionally. They are not only about pleasure, they are about surrender, trust, admiration, emotional investment, and connection. Once you begin understanding intimacy from that perspective, you realize that actions often reveal feelings more honestly than words ever can. Real intimacy is never only about physical closeness. It is about emotional connection, trust, vulnerability, presence, and the silent messages two people share without needing words. Throughout this entire conversation, the deeper truth has remained the same. Meaningful intimacy reveals how much two people are willing to see, value, and emotionally invest in one another. Actions often speak more honestly than promises ever can, and the way someone gives their attention, care, patience, and emotional energy can reveal the depth of their feelings far more clearly than words alone. At its highest level, intimacy becomes more than attraction. It becomes emotional safety. It becomes feeling appreciated, chosen, understood, and emotionally connected to another person in a genuine way. And when two people are fully present with each other, without fear, without emotional distance, and without pretending to be someone else, that is where real connection begins to grow. Because true intimacy is not only about being desired, it is about being valued deeply for who you truly are. So instead of looking only at physical actions, pay attention to the emotional energy behind them. Pay attention to the effort, the sincerity, the attentiveness, and the care being shared in those quiet moments. That is where the real meaning exists. And when intimacy is built on trust, emotional presence, and genuine connection, it becomes something unforgettable, something that stays in the heart long after the moment itself has passed.